Good morning and welcome to Darlene's Creative Studio. Today for our Creative Journal Prompt Challenge, we're going to be working on what can you do with a paper sack. And I'm going to be working with this brown paper bag, and we're going to try and make some kind of a little booklet out of that. So I'm going to put this in our little book. Quickly distress the little card here. And we will glue this in our book. Now I have made this type of bag folder, but I've used smaller bags, so we'll see how this works. Oops, I just undid my little thingy there. Okay, so that's done. Let me just put my glue lid back on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some scrapbooking paper. And these are from the Tim Holtz collection, but these are the 6-inch pieces, and I'll turn it over this way so you can see, that you get at the back of the scrapbooking pads. And I'm going to actually use these because I can cut it right at the 6 inches, because this bag is actually 6 inches wide. So it'll work perfectly for me. So I'm going to use some of the strips from these 2 pieces of cardstock. And I'll be using some lined paper to create little booklets inside the bag. So what I'm going to do, this is a 6-inch by 11-inch bag. And to make this little tuck spot here a little stronger, I'm just going to fold this under about 3/8 of an inch. Like that. So this will become a little tuck spot. And then I'm going to fold that perfectly over, right up against that fold. And then I'm going to fold it one more time. Like that. And all the time you should use your rolled folder just to give that nice tight fold. And then because it hangs over and I want to add book pages to this, I want to make it so that I have the end of my page right along like that. So I've actually just created another little fold here. And you just make sure that that's even, so that when we fold this in, we're going to actually have a little bit of space to move if this gets thicker, and that I can add some little book pages in here. Okay, so I've just folded that in under a little bit, created the first fold, the second fold, and then I wanted to make sure that this was lined up along there, and I just created another fold there. So it gives me that little, and that one is about 3/4 of an inch spine. And then all I'm going to do is take these pieces of cardstock and I'm going to cut them at the 6-inch across there, and then this is going to become for one side of the book. So let me go ahead and cut these. So this page will be the back, like that. And I'll cut it to the length. And then the other one, I've cut it. This is the 12-inch piece. But what I did was I cut it at 8 inches. So it's going to go and cover that, and it's just going to tuck underneath my little pocket there. Like that. And then this piece is going to become, it was a little bit longer and I trimmed it off to make it fit onto that back. So this is a little pocket here that we're going to create just for tucking things in. And then we're going to have to, once these are all glued on, we're going to have to rescore our lines and fold them again. And it's going to be harder with the cardstock, but I'm going to try it because the paper bag is fairly thin. So we'll see how this works with using cardstock. I normally use paper because it's thinner and you can fold it easier. But again, this paper bag is fairly thin, so I want to try it with the cardstock and see how it works. So I'm going to glue this on first and do my score marks and fold it and see how it looks folded. And if I find it's getting too hard, I will use paper on the back so that it won't be harder if I use cardstock twice. So let's start with this one first. So again, this was a 12-inch piece. So this is 12 inches here. And I cut this one, the first one, at 8 1/4 inches, so it will tuck underneath that little pocket a little bit. And then the piece that was left over was 4 inches. And I then measured my little pocket here, which is 3 1/4, and I cut that piece to 3 1/4. So I had a little scrap piece left over, like that. So I'm going to start by gluing this onto the end piece. So let's do that one first. And I'm using Fabri-Tac just because it'll grab it a little better. The art glitter glue does grab very well, and you can use your art glitter glue, but the bag is very thin and I'm worried about it rippling a little bit, so I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac. And I don't like to use this very often because of the strong smell, but I'm going to go ahead and use it for this particular project. Now you can cut it a little bit smaller and leave the 1/8 showing along the edges if you like, but I think this will just give it a sturdier edge if you do it right to the edges there. Okay, so now I'm going to flip that over, and then this piece is going to go on here. And you want to make sure, now the bags are never straight, they're never folded straight, so just do your best to get it on there the best that you can. So let's go ahead and glue that one on. And then we'll go ahead and score some of our folds back into them. And I like to make sure I get right to the edges. Stinky, stinky. Okay. Gonna have to fold that over somehow. I'll use my little ruler just to hold it down. There. Just till I get this end on. And Fabri-Tac does give you the opportunity to move it around for a couple of seconds so you can get it into where you want it. And then I'm just going to grab my brayer here and give it a good, and it spreads the glue out behind and really pushes it down onto the paper. Okay, so there's our first one. So there is the inside of the booklet. Now we're going to have to rescore all these folds and everything because it's the cardstock is fairly thick. So I'm just going to put this in my scoreboard and just score where I had the folds before to help make it easier to fold. So there's my first one, and we'll fold it over. You really want to give it a good press with your bone folder. And see, it's already getting nice and thick. So that was my concern, that it would be really thick with all that cardstock on it. Okay, so let's see if we can score this mark again. And we can, using this. It just gives you a little bit of bending space. All right, so you want to do that one again, and you want to make sure it's even. And the only reason I folded the bag before we started was to see how it would look to get it the right size. And again, we have one more, and it's 3/4 of an inch approximately. And I'm just going to put it in here and mark it, oops, on 3/4 of an inch, and just make sure it's at the right spot on the other side. It is, okay. So I'm just pushing it, that fold, right up against the edge of my scoreboard, and we're going to score it at that 3/4 of an inch. And that just gives you some room to fold. So we're going to do that one. And again, we want to make sure our edges are even. Like that. So there we go. So there is our one fold, there is our second fold, and there is our little booklet. Okay? Now, we can glue this little guy closed, I believe, because I don't think we'll need to get in there for any reason. So let's glue that little flap down first. And the only reason I did this, I did it in my smaller ones, but I found that I was using that tuck spot. It's very small, and I used to put a thin tag in there. I have a small one that I keep in my purse, and I put my pin codes in there, and it's on a little tag in there, so I'm constantly poking in there when I can't remember my pin number. So you want to make sure that you have this fairly sturdy. All right, so now we're going to do our edges. And now I'll have to find a different spot for my pin codes because I just told the whole world where I put my pin codes. All right. There we go. So we're going to fold that down. That one goes over. Like that and like that. And this is going to become a pocket here. So we can, if you want to, you can glue the sides of the bag up until that first fold closed, because you're not going to be using that part of the bag. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a little glue in here just to close that up so that it won't open when I'm using the booklet. And again on this side. Only to that final fold. There we go. Get those down. So I'm not putting any glue past that fold right there. And that will give it a little bit more security on the edges. And I'm going to let that dry a little bit. And then what I'm going to do for these, sticky, because this bag has such a wide fold here, I'm actually going to trim those down a little bit if I can. I might take my scissors and try and just make those a little thinner. And then that way, or even just glue them against the side like that, so that you don't, when you're putting something in there, you're not constantly getting caught on this little piece here. So I might glue them, my goodness, I'm sticking everywhere. I think I'll glue them against the side like that, just at the top. You don't have to worry about it. Once they're glued down, they won't get caught on anything, but that way they're out of the way. So I will do that. I'm just going to let this glue a little bit, and let's see if we can work on this other side. Again, I don't know how well this is going to fold having 2 layers of cardstock, but we're going to give it a go and see. So this one, you can have the full length of the cardstock. So this is 6 inches. And again, this is an 11-inch bag. So all I'm going to do is lay that on there like that and get it even. Make sure I'm right up to the end. And then I'm just going to take my pencil and make a line there. And I think there's already a line there already. And I just make a little mark on that line. Because there was already graph lines in it, and it is actually on one of the graph lines, I've gone and made a little mark going across so I know which line when I get over there I don't lose it. So let me just go and cut this off, and we will see if it's at our 11 inches. And it is, it's 11 inches. So let's just cut it off at 11. And we have a little tiny scrap. We'll save that in case we want to make a belly band or something. And we want to make sure it's right side up. So, okay, this is what I wanted to show you as well. I've got a little bit of glue right here where it must have been stuck on my hand, and I can see a little shiny spot where the glue is smeared right there. Take your gum eraser and just gently rub it on that spot. and it pulls up, it takes the shine off, takes the glue off, and does not tear your paper. And there you go, it's gone. So if the glue ever oozes out, you have to get one of these gum erasers. I got mine at the dollar store. All right, so let's put this on the other side, and hopefully this will fold nicely. We're going to try this. So we're going to glue our cardstock to the back of this page. Normally I do this for the littler ones. I cut them per panel of the bag. So for each fold, I would cut a piece of paper and I would leave a little bit of the edges showing, that little 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch around the edges. But I'm not going to do that with this bag. We're going to try it full on and see how it goes. Oops, I just glued my finger. Get that off my finger. Okay. So this is the way it's going to go on the bag, and I'm going to start at one end and place it on the bag and make sure I'm where I want it to be, and then just slowly position it into place because I do not want it to be on crooked. Okay. I'm going to get our brayer before it dries and just give it a really good rub. And there is, so what our measurement is for this one is 3 3/8. So let's flip this one over. And we're just going to give it, oops, another little score. And that one's not going to work because it's got the bump there, but we'll just try to slide it along that fold so that when I go to fold it, it works a little better. There we go. And you want to score that really well, and use your bone folder to really push down on that fold because this is going to be thick. There we go. And then the same with this one. We probably don't have to score them, we can just give them a nice fold. And again, use your bone folder. There we go. And then this particular one, let's see if we can rescore this one. And it's at 3.5. And I'm just going to do it on this side to see if it will help me fold it easier. Okay, so we're going to fold that one up. Again, 3.5. Like that. And fold. Let's see how that worked. That's not bad. Okay, so there's our fold. And then what you can do is, because we've got the thickness of the cardstock, and see how it's pulled away from my edge there a little bit, you can actually put this in your cutter and just trim that little edge off. Or you can put some lace there to kind of pretty it up, but you can cut it back so that it's not right at the edge of your other book there. And I think I'm going to trim this up just to make it even. Again, even when you fold it, it's still going to pull that out. So let's do it with some scissors. Where are my scissors? Here. While it's like this, let's use some binder clips to hold it where it's supposed to be when it's closed. Going to get it in place so that it's nice and flat, and it's only a little tiny bit sticking out from the bottom, so I want to just cut that. And again, you can add a little piece of lace to the back end of this, which we could do. Yeah, let's just cut that off so that when it's closed, it's nice and flat there. So let me grab my lace here. And I'm going to grab a piece of lace. And I'm going to measure it out. And let's just say we'll add it onto there. Now what I want to do first is glue those inside pieces back. I just don't want them to catch on when I put something inside the little pouch here. So I'm just going to glue those closed. I'm just putting a little bit of glue on here, a little bit of glue on there, and I'm going to close that down. Ooh, don't come oozing out. And there we go. It still opens up, but it holds that one little flap down, which is fine. Or you can glue inside that one as well, because you only want this as a pocket, right? You don't need it to open up as much. So let's add a little bit more on this side. Because we really don't need that. It's just a pocket. It's not needed to open. Okay, so let's glue that one down. There we go. Put that on there. And did that get glue on it? Mm-hmm. And let's just open that up real quick so it doesn't glue my pocket closed totally. There. And I just want to make sure my edges are nice and tight. So now we just have a little pocket there. Okay. So let's glue some lace trim on the edge of this piece here. And I'm just gluing the edge on. I'm letting it overlap, hang over the edge, I mean. So there we go. Let that glue go nice and sticky. There we go. And I'll trim this little spot off as soon as I get my thumb unstuck from the glue. There we go. So there is our book, like that. And I'm going to add take out my labels here. And we can add maybe one of these labels on the front. That one's kind of nice. We can put a little piece of fabric underneath it. Like that. So let's say about there. And there. Like that. We can stick that on there. There we go. And then this can be glued onto the front. And we want it to be about go. So there is our little booklet out of a bag so far. I'll move these guys out of the way. So we're going to open it up. And we have our little pocket here. Now you can add things here. You can add another little pocket here as well, and another one here. And when this is closed, there's also a spot here to decorate with another pocket. But what I'm going to create, I'm going to take some of the leftover pieces and I'm going to chop them off and use a 6-inch piece and fold it in half to make a little booklet about that size. So we have this one. That's one of my 6-inch pieces. And this one was the other half of that 6-inch piece, and I folded them into 3-inch pieces, and these are going to become my little booklets that I'm going to put inside and sew them into the spine. So the first one, I've added some lace to the edge, so let's add lace to the second booklet. Really quickly here. Again, just along the edge, and we'll flip this guy around and we will put him in place, and we want it to hang over just a bit. There we go. So add some lace on there, and let's do some to the back. Again, we will add our lace. There we go. And cut that off. So there's our two little booklets. And for the insides of these booklets, I'm going to be using, where to put it, newspaper. And this is from the notebook that I buy at the dollar store. I love the color of the paper. It's a nice ivory color, and it comes in signatures. So you can pull the book apart and cut each of these signatures out, and then you can just use the papers as signatures already. The ones that I was buying before had a shorter header on one end, but these ones have really wide headers, as you can see. So I just trimmed one of them down. And then to get the size you need for your booklet, I set the papers, there are about 7 sheets in there, and I set them inside my booklet, and I leave about 1/8 of an inch at the top here showing of my little booklet, and I close that. This is before I put the lace on, of course. And then I just trace along the edge of my booklet and across the bottom. And then I take my metal ruler and my mat, and the line is there, and I'm going to go 1/8 to the inside of that line. Put my lid on my glue here, so that it will be shorter than the booklet by 1/8. So let me just push that up there. So I'm just going to cut this down 1/8 like that, and then the same for the bottom. There's the pencil line there. I'm going to go 1/8 on the inside of that pencil mark so that it will be shorter than the booklet cover. And we already moved it down when we put it inside, so we know it's already going to be short. So there, we're going to save this because we can use this for tags and whatnot, so we'll set that aside. And then we just take our booklet and we set it inside there like that. So there's one. And I pre-cut the other one. So there is, oops, no, is that upside down? Yes, it is. There's 2. So we have our 2 booklets. Let's move this one upside right. So there's our 2 booklets with the lace, and those are going to be sewn into the spine there like that. And that will be our little bag booklet. And again, I'm going to decorate this with some pockets, maybe a little vellum bag here, a little envelope maybe. I have these envelopes here. I have these little envelopes. I have these little coin envelopes. I think a little envelope might be nice there. Or shall I put it on the inside? Let's put it on the outside. Let's put a little envelope in there. Let's put a little envelope there. Like that. And we can use some scraps from our scrap bin here to find something that we can decorate. Oh, that's really crooked, Darlene. There we go. You notice it after you glue it on, if it's crooked or not. There. That's better. And then I just go into my little scrap bin here and I look for a couple of pieces of scraps that I can perhaps add to the front of that. Here's one. We can do that, or let's see, this one. Well, that one's cute. Okay, so let's do that one. And we're just going to cut that there. Let's add that to the front there. Maybe we can distress the edges a little bit to make them look a little more weathered. And we can do the same to the envelope. A little bit of color to those edges. Like that. Let's glue this guy down. All right, here. Let me see if we have any other scraps that we can use that are tall enough maybe to make a tag for that little envelope. That guy might be big enough. There, we can make a tag about that high. How wide would that be? Oops, upside down. So we about a 4.5 inch tag. So let's cut that off at 4.5 inches. 4 3/4. Just make sure that's even. Yep. Let's see how that fits in there. There, that's 4 3/4. So that would make a nice little tag in there. And again, we're just using up some of the scraps that we have. Is that crooked as well? Thank goodness, I'm really bad. And then we can just cut that edge to make a tag. And punch a hole. There we go. We got a little tag in there. Close that. Close that. So there's one little pocket on the outside. There's one here. And again, we can add more things here as we get going. do have some little vellum pockets that we could perhaps use on the inside, or a little vellum envelope. These are little envelopes that I made from some paper. That was a nice long one. We can do that one, or we can do it as a flip up and put a nice card in there, and perhaps use a piece of that paper. Where I've lost it, I'm getting too much junk on my desk here. Let's try one of these pages here. Let's cut this off. Use that. That can go on there, and we distress the edges, and we can actually put this little envelope underneath and make a little flip up there. That will be nice, and we'll put a little card inside that envelope. So let's do that. Let's put these little guys away. So let's distress the edges of our page here. Okay, so then we can go ahead and glue this guy in place. Now what I'm going to do is, I've lost the envelope. Oh my goodness. Pick it up with the other one when I was moving them out of the way. I think I did. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to glue this to the back of the paper first. So I can make sure that it's even and where I want it. Like that. And then when I glue the page down, it will just flip up easily enough. I want it to come this way a tiny bit. That's better. I'm going to get it in place before the glue dries. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so let's just glue this little guy in place. Where we want it to go. All right. There. And now we can put a neat little card in there. I'm just using up some of our scraps that we have here. And maybe one of these little magazine covers. That might be nice. I'm getting low on these. All right, we can use the Americana. Let's use that Saturday Evening Post one. It's the little kitties. So we need a card that's going to be about 2.5 by 3. And I want to put something on the other side. So maybe something like that. We can make that the base of our card and then put the lined paper on the back and then this little one on the front like that. Let's see what else we have. We have this black. That might look nice. Ooh, how about, oops, wrong one. How about that? Okay, so let's do that. So we needed 2.5 by 3. Make sure that fits in there. It does perfectly good. Actually, make sure it closes. I've done that before. Yep, okay. So we can glue this onto there. Just looking for something that might look nice kind of as a second layer. Like that. Let's grab my pencil here and just make a quick cut there. So if we put this on there and then on the black, that's nice. Let's just distress the edges of this as well. Just take away a little bit of the brightness of the white. Okay. So let's glue those on there. And you can probably use your art glitter glue for this, your Art Institute glue for this. But we'll just keep using the Fabri-Tac as we're using it anyway. So let's put that on there. And then we'll glue this one on. To here. Like that, and we want that to show through. Just put it in there for a minute here. When it's closed, that's what you're going to see through the envelope. So we can add some lined paper onto the back of this, if we like. Or we could just use a piece of this one. You can do that. Keep it kind of the same. Okay, so let's glue that one on there. I'm just going to get some of the glue off into my lid here. There we go. I'm going to have the glue on the card. That might be better. Make sure we're upright. And we're going to glue this little guy on. Like that. And now let's trim it back. And the piece of paper is stuck to my scissors. Okay. So there we go. And we can distress the edges of this little guy. So that will have to go in this way. And we'll slide him up and flip him down. Okay, so there's that side. So we've got a card here, and we can add something to the back of that. It's plain, so we can leave it plain if we like. And we can maybe add like a little sticker or something there. We've got this guy. And we've got to sew in our 2 little booklets, which we will do next. That closes like that, and that closes like that. And I think I'm going to add an eyelet. Once I get these books sewn in, I'll add an eyelet to the back here, and it will close up with a little eyelet. And then we can add something to the insides as well. So let me just clean up this little bit of a mess here, and we'll get our punching cradle, and we'll punch some of our little booklets and get them ready to be sewn in. I've cleared away all the junk off of my desktop work surface here. What we're going to do really quickly before we sew our signatures in, the front pocket here, we have a little pocket there. I'm going to take one of the 6-inch pieces of the scrap that we used for creating the journal. This is one of the scraps, and I'm just going to quickly, so I can move this scoreboard out of the way finally, score this at 3 inches because it's a 6x6 piece from the back of the Tim Holtz scrapbook pads. He has the 6x6s, 4 of them per sheet. So this is one of the 6x6s, and I've just scored it in half, so it creates a 3-inch by 6-inch piece, and that will fit into our little pocket here. And I'm just going to create a little, not a booklet so much as just a little something with some lined paper on it. So I'm going to take some of our scrap that we cut from our booklets. I'm going to take a couple of these pages, and I'm going to cut them down to fit inside this little booklet. So these are 3 inches. I went a little less than 3 inches. Let's see, I may have to cut a little bit more. No, this should be fine. And let's just distress those edges real quick. And we can probably use my distress board for these because the paper is so thin. And we can really quickly go around this. I may need a little more distress ink on this. And then just flip it around. And it'll still give you that softer look. There you go. So there's one. Let's really quickly do this one. Now, I did promise that I would be doing something for my 1,000 subscriber giveaway. And because I'm on holiday, it's just been, and doing this challenge, these challenge prompts every day, it's been harder to do something. So what I think I'm going to do, I was going to give the binder away. Sorry, I'm getting a hoarse throat. I was going to give the binder away as my 1,000 giveaway. And what I will do is, because I want to get it started, when I finish making this little paper bag journaly thing, I think I will give this away as my giveaway, and then I will, once the binder is done, I will do another giveaway and give away the binder as well. So for my 1,000 subscriber video, I'm going to be posting on Instagram and on YouTube. I will use this video, but I will post that I'm doing a giveaway on this video. And this will be what I'm giving away, this finished product here. It's been amazing. It's really nice to see people, the comments people have been posting under my YouTube videos. They're inspired, and that's my whole mission of doing these videos, is to inspire people to create. Sometimes people go blank and don't know what to do for their journals, or they're not sure what kind of journals they want to create. There's so many different kinds out there. There's the vintage, the steampunk, junk journals. There's just so many different kinds. So you really have to play around, watch a lot of people on YouTube, and figure out which kind of journal or junk journal you really enjoy and which ones you would like to try and make. There are a lot of the people that are diehards like myself who love to create. We have a lot of tools. So again, I mean, some people are starting out and they don't have all these tools. I'm just going to interrupt myself here and punch a little hole here, a little thumb mark, excuse me, in my bag. Get that away. So that when I place this card in here, we can get at the card. And again, it's just going to slide in to our little pocket here, and that's another little journaling card on the side. And this will also help to keep your cover sturdier as well, having that little card in there. So yes, so I'm going to do the subscriber giveaway, and this is what I'll be giving away. I'll run it for a week or so, and just have people comment under the video, and then I will select one of the comments from below, and you have to be a subscriber to my YouTube channel. But this will be the one that I will do first. I will give this one away as my 1,000 subscriber giveaway. And then again, at the end of January 31st, when I'm finished all of my journal prompts, I will be giving away the binder. With everything that we've created will be inside of it, and that will be shipped to a winner as well. So that is something that I'm just working on. I'm really just doing these prompts to inspire people to take those prompts, and when they have a day where they just can't think of something to do, is to just look at that prompt sheet and grab one of the prompts and just go with it and have some fun. Okay, so let's continue on. We're going to take our, I'm just going to use, first of all, I want to move this punch, this scoreboard. It's kind of bouncy when you're working on it. So I have my thread, and this is my punching cradle. I've got this from Vintage Page Designs. She's in England, and I follow her, and I'm a part of her mail out. She teaches you how to do different kinds of bindings for journals. So there's another option if you're not into maybe making junk journals or this type of journal. There is a lady out there that will show you how to sew journals together with the fancy stitching on the outside. So I'm going to take the first booklet here, and I'm going to place the second one inside, and I'm going to make sure that they're lined up nice and straight and that they're upside right. Like that. And you want to make sure your pages are inside centered. So they have the little bit on the top and the little bit on the bottom, and that they're all lined up. And I'm going to keep them in that V shape, and I'm going to add a bowl clip to one end, and then I'm just going to turn it like this. Keep it again in that V shape, and add another to the top like that. And then I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of the cardstock. This was a thinner piece. This was just a little piece that I cut off the end, and I've just folded it. I put it on my scoreboard and I scored it, and then I folded it, and I'm just going to set that inside, and it's the same height as the cover of the booklet, not the pages. And I'm going to set that inside so that when I punch these holes, I will actually have a template. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put this on the inside because I think I'm going to use the holes that are already in the paper. So let me just undo this. This is something I did before and it worked really well. I'm going to set the template inside the first one and make sure my paper is where I want it. And then let's set the other one inside that. Make sure they're nice and even. Okay, let's put our bowl clips back on. And then I'm going to use, because this paper was already bound in a book, it already has a couple of little holes, and I'm just going to use those holes as my guides. So the template is in the middle of these, and then I'll use that template to mark inside my booklet as to where I want the holes to be punched. Okay, so this already has some little holes. If you can see them, I'm not sure where the paper was already punched. Let me grab my 2 Mahon's punch. I find this one's a little thinner. Okay, So we're going to punch through these holes and make sure we go through all the layers. Our template and both of our signatures and our little booklets covers. And just to save myself the headache, I'm using the holes that are already there. Here we go. So I've punched all these holes, and that's what I'll be sewing the booklets into this cover with. So we're going to take the booklets off, and I will actually leave one on each book just to hold the pages in place with the cover, so they don't move around. So when I take these apart, there's my little template in the middle. And the only reason I did that is because I wanted to use the holes in the paper as my guide, more so than this, measuring it out. So now I have my holes in my little template. So I'll move this out of the way for a second. Need that guy. Now this is harder to do because this is my spine, this little 3/4 inch part here. And what I'm going to do is take my ruler, and I'm just going to mark where I want my lines to be. So maybe there. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3. There and there. So it's 3/16 in. I'm going to do the same from the bottom. 3/16 and 1, 2, 3/16. And then I'm just going to draw a light pencil line from those two marks. And the reason I'm doing them closer to the edges is because I have to put an eyelet in the middle here. So once I get my signatures in, I want to leave enough room in here so that when I punch my eyelet, and this is 6 inches, so when I punch my eyelet, it will be here. Okay, if that makes sense. So I have my 3/4 inch spine, there's my 2 score lines, there's my 2 pencil lines, and they were 3/16 in from those score lines, and then I've left enough of a gap so that I can put my eyelet here, and that will have an elastic coming out to hold the book closed. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So now I'm going to take my template, and you can either leave it folded and do it this way, or you can open it up and punch it through the holes, but I find it easier to line it up against that line. So we're just going to put that in like that, up against the first pencil line. And then I'm just going to use my holes to make a mark. 1. I'll draw those dots so I can see them. Like that. And then you do the same on, you can draw a line going across, or you can just do the same thing on the other side. You want to make sure that first one lines up with the other one. So I'm going to draw my first one. Yes, it does. See, you want your dots to be in the exact same spot so that your books are level. Okay, so I've got my dots on there. And now I'm going to grab my punching board. This is just a big old piece of foam, and it's by Sizzix. And it's foam on one side and kind of a rough texture on the other, and I'm just going to use this as my punching board. And I'm just going to take my hole punch, and I'm just going to punch right in the center of those dots. And we want to make sure we're exactly across from the other one, so that your books come out evenly. And you want to be on that line. There. Okay, so what we're going to do is take our book number 1, which is this one, and we're going to line up those dots and we're going to sew that into our book. I'm just going to take my wax, this is wax thread, I bought this online at Amazon, and I should probably start putting some links. I don't have the affiliate account to Amazon, and maybe I should look into that because I do buy a lot of my stuff on Amazon. And that will be a good way. I can leave the links for some of the stuff that I buy. People ask me about the glues that I use, the threads that I use, about some of my punching boards and all that kind of stuff. So I could just leave links to where I've purchased them. And you can just click on the link and it'll take you right to the page, and you can open it up and put it in your shopping cart. All right, let's see. Put that there. I'll save that for later. I'm going to use the bull clips, and I'm going to grab my needles here. This is my little matchbook needle book. Very easy to make. Easy to carry your needles along and not get them lost. And with the wax thread, all you have to do is, with your thumbnail and your finger, flatten out the end of your thread, and it will slide easily into the needle. I say easily, and then of course it won't rush. There we go, and it just pulls right through, and you only have to pull it through about 2 inches, and then just pull on it and it'll stay. Because of the wax, it holds it in place. Okay, so what we're going to do is line up our holes, and you can add a bull clip there to hold it in place if you like. And I normally start farther along the bottom here, and we're just going to go in and out as a pamphlet stitch, in and out of the holes. And of course I can't get the first one lined up. Just going to undo that bull clip. It's easier to move it around when you don't have it clipped in. Come on. Cooperate. Why is always the first one the hardest? Oops. There we go. Once you get a couple of them lined up, the whole thing will line up. And then you want to pull that. You hold your little tail under your thumb and just give that a little pull. And then we'll go into the next one and just line up the hole. There we go. Like I say, once you get it lined up, once you start sewing, it will hold it in place. Pop it through your hole. And the other one. And then you want to make sure you give it a nice pull. And then you're going to go back down through the same holes on the inside, and then on the outside. And you want to make sure you come into the hole and don't pierce your book, because it's a nice thin little booklet, and you can pierce it when you pull them tight as you go along. Like that, and then you go into this one. So you'll end up with a nice bunch of small stitches, and it'll hold your book in place. So out, in, out, in, out, in. Okay, so I'm going to skip where my tail is and go into the next one down. So I've got a nice long stitch there. Let me go into the next one and the bottom one. Pull nice and tight, and then you're going to go back up again, in and out, and you want to end up, let's go out, And then I'm going to be coming in where my tail is. That last stitch I should come in, and you want to try and come in that hole on the other side of the long piece of stitch that you have there. So you've gone from your long, you do your long stitch, go in and out, and you come in from the outside, and there's my tail, and I'm coming in on this side of that. And if you don't, you can always just use your needle and pull it to that side. So you have your little strings, and there's my long stitch, and I'm just going to tie a knot. And the nice thing about wax thread is when you pull your stitch and tie it like that, it will hold. You don't have to worry about it undoing or putting your finger there and holding it. It holds it in place because of the wax. And then you just pull it nice and tight and chop off the ends. Now, if you like to have little dangly pieces hanging from the bottom of your journals and stuff, you can start at the bottom and go up and come back down again. You just want to make sure that you come in on the inside to tie your knot, and then you can leave your longer bits to have danglies on the bottom. And then I take my bone folder and just quickly go across that on that side and on that side. And see, there's our next line of dots, and I've left enough room for me to put an eyelet in there. So let's grab our needle and our second piece of thread, and we're going to string that, leave about 2 inches, give it a pull, and it'll hold it like that. And the same thing, once you get it going, it'll stay in place. I just put the bull clip to hold the papers and the cover together. But you're going to start in one of the lower holes and go out and leave that little bit of tail. And then once you get it started, it will hold it in place. It's just a little fiddling and stuff to get it going. And you pull it through, and then we're going to go out that hole. Of course, it doesn't go out exactly. My needle is so sharp, it just grabs whatever it can poke. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come in and go in that hole. And again, you want to make sure you come in the hole and don't go through the book pages in a different spot. And really quickly go in that one. There, that one was in line. Once you get going, they are normally lining up. But this needle is just so sharp. It just pokes the book in the wrong spot. There we go. Okay, now we want to pull that nice and tight. Okay, and then we're going to go back down and go in that top hole. So it's just like a sewing machine. You're going up and down, up and down. And keep your needle straight so you don't come out in the wrong side of your book page. Up and down. And come in that one. Oops, see, that one just worked. Okay, so there's my tail, and I'm coming in above it. Now I'm going to skip that hole where the tail is and go down to the next one. And you're going to go in that hole. So I've got a nice long stitch here, and I've missed where the tail is. All right, and we're going to come in this hole. There we go. And out that one. Make sure it's nice and tight. In that hole. Out that one. And then I'm just going to pull my needle needs a little bit less string there. And then we're going to come in the hole where the tail is. I'm going to grab a hold of that tail and give it a little pull. So it's nice and tight. And my needle's going to come in. I'm going to try and get it on the opposite side of that string. So my tail is on this side of that line. I'm coming up from the other side. And if you don't, again, just put your needle under the string and pull the leg onto the other side. And we're going to tie a knot. Pull it nice and tight. And then the second one, like that, and trim off our ends. Put our needle away so we don't lose it. rid of these little booklets and put that kind of away. And I'll grab my bone folder and just quickly run along the edge of this and along the edge of, oops, where's the second one? There, like that. So there we go, that one closes, and I've just added a little sticker to the front of that one. And I've added a little piece of washi tape there. I've added a little washi tape there. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. There's our two little booklets. We've added our little pocket there, and that now closes, and see, it's nice and thick. So now we're going to add an eyelet right in the middle there, and I'm going to take my leather punch. Let's put the holes out of there. I used it for something else. Okay. And I'm just going to open up these two, and in the middle you will see where I drew my little circle. It's the 6 inches, so that's at 3 inches. And I'm just going to take my punch and I'm going to place it over that hole, and I'm going to punch through them like that. And I'm going to grab my eyelets, and I've got some of these little eyelets here. We could use a brass one. Let's see what that looks like on the outside. No, I think that's a little too brassy. Let me see. Maybe a silver or a gold one. Maybe the gold one. Okay, now before I do that, if you want to cover up these stitches, you can take another piece of your cardstock, and I would take a wider piece than this, and you can actually create a little spine, and it will cover those stitches so you don't see them. And glue that on, and then repunch your hole from the inside, and then put your eyelet in there as well. Normally, if this is the bag color, I would cover the spine. You don't have to cover it, but I'll show you how I do it real quickly. What do I have here that I can use? How about this one? So I would want a piece that is, obviously it's the 3/4 inch, and it would come around here. So maybe 1 1/4 inches wide. Like that. And then that would go on there like that. And I'm going to score the corner at the edges. I want to try and show you from this angle. So you're going to score your 1/4 inches and then fold it around. So let's do that with our scoreboard. Thought I was done with this little sucker, but out of the way. Move the punching board out of the way. So we're going to do 1/4 inch, because we only want 3/4 inch, right? Say there. And then 3/4 inch is there. All right, so let's do that. So I'm actually doing 3/16. And then 1, 2, 3/16. Let's see how that looks. And I'm just going to bend it gently, because when we put it on the book, we may have to push it in a little more. Okay. So now we just simply put our spine in there, like that. And we would glue that on to the spine of our book here. And you want to glue around the stitches, right on top of the stitches and down the center. Don't forget to miss that hole where you punched your hole for your eyelet. Okay, and then we're going to set that on there nice and even. And I'm just going to push down on my spine. And again, you don't have to do this step, you can leave it and let your stitches show through, that's fine. And then I'm just going to run a bead of glue down the side here. And you want to make sure you get right to that edge. And then I'm just going to fold that piece over like that. And hold it in place. Of course it's oozing out because it's just a tiny little bit. Let's just open this up and squeeze there. There's the back. And I like to just kind of roll it and make sure I get that corner. Now let's do the front. This way. And I'm just going to lift up my fabric here so I don't get that. In there. Like that. Let's open it up and just hold it against. There we go. So now your spine has a nice, you don't see the stitches, it's kind of hidden behind that little piece of cardstock. And then all we have to do now is, I'm doing something out there. Open up our book again, and we want to punch through that piece of cardstock. There we go. So I punch through again, and then you're going to place your eyelet in there. Get in there. There we go. And I'm going to get my little eyelet punch. I think I threw it in here. There it is. And my little hammer. And I'm going to take this outside and give this a little whack. And it'll flatten my eyelet. And then we can put our elastic in there. Okay, and then again, it's just a matter of adding a label there, a little label there for your booklet, and then deciding on what we want to put on this side. You can make a little piece of cardstock to go in here, a small piece. Maybe we could do a little belly band here. Fold the edges down and maybe slide a little envelope under there. Let's see, we can just fold these down. Not by much, just a little tiny bit, like that. And we can create a little belly band there and maybe slide an envelope underneath there, and that could hold a couple of things as well, maybe some tags. And I will make some tags out of some of the scraps that I have in my scrap bin. So let's make a little belly band, and let's move it over to the side a bit. There. And again, you can add stuff to your belly band. Some little labels. I'm just looking for some of my smaller labels here. That one's not bad. Let's add that guy in there. All right, let's do that. There. What else do I have here that we can use? Oh, how about this little one? Yeah, that might be nice on there. Come on. I have a heck of a time with these little, there we go. There, that looks nice there. We've got our belly band there. And I'll create an envelope that we can slide underneath there. Let's use an example here. We'll create a little envelope that we can slide under the belly band. And I'll put some tags and maybe some extra labels in there. Save those little pieces. And then the other page is at the front here as well. We need another little label. I like that orange one. I really want to use that orange one, so I'm going to put that one on there. He's one of my faves. We can do it that way. We can do it that way. Yeah, let's do it this way. Alright, so we have a little bit of color there. And then what we can do for this side is add maybe a tab to this so that when we want to pull it out, we can just grab the tab and pull it out. So why don't we do that? Let's just add a little tab there. Actually, will that, yes, that will work. No, it won't work because when I go to open this, it'll get caught, won't it? Maybe not. Let's see. Oh, that's all right. It'll be flat when you go to write, so there you go. And that'll just make it easier to pull your little book out. And just grab that little tab. Okay, so I think we're pretty much done. I'll work on that envelope and I'm going to go and punch that hole and then we'll show you the end result. Alrighty, so let's finish this up. I've gone ahead and added the belly band and I've taken an envelope, a regular sized envelope. I've taken a regular size envelope and I've cut it down and made it into a smaller little coin size envelope. And that's going to tuck under there. And then what I think I'm going to put inside this is a couple of labels and some little scrap pieces of journaling cards and paper for you to use throughout the journal. So that will go in there like that. And then I've added one of the journaling cards that I made out of a game card from a couple of days ago. We'll add that on top right there. So we have our little flip up in our card there. You can add a little, there's a little tuck spot there to add something secretive. I'll actually add a couple of these little labels too to the envelope. So if you want to add those to the front of your book, you can, your little journal booklets. So there we go, there's that. We've got our eyelet punched in. And on this side, I think I'm going to add, I've got this little scrap piece of cardstock, and I'm going to add that there with some corners. So let's do that, and then we'll add our elastic, and then we're done. So let's add that, say, right about there. Like that. And this card can be replaced once you write on it. You can just grab another piece of cardstock. It just has to be the same size. So you would take that piece out and measure it and cut another one. Then, so that's removable, you can pull that out. So there we go. Now all I'm going to add to this now is some elastic, and all I do is take the elastic and wrap it around very loosely, put the ends together and tie a knot in the ends. it nice and tight to the end. Get that out of the way. And we put that around the journal just to make sure it's not too tight. Oops. Okay, so we want it to be a little looser. So we're going to pull it a little more to the end of the knot there. And then I pull it one arm at a time. And again, I just wrap it around the journal, and there, it's nice, and it's not a really, really tight fit, which is, I do not want a tight fit. So then we just open up our journal from the eyelet on the inside, and so we're going to squeeze that together and pull the loop through, and there we go. There is a little journal made out of a paper bag with 2 signatures in it, and I believe there is 6 or 7 pages in each. Let's just double check that. So let's see, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 24 pages in each of the little journals. Just a little one that you can pop in your purse. So there we go. That is day 18 finished, and this is going to be my 1,000 subscriber giveaway. I'm going to give someone this, so please comment in the comments below. You must be a subscriber, so please subscribe to my channel, and please like the video. It does help to know if you like the video or not. And then I'll give it about a week, and then I will draw a winner for a little paper bag notebook. So thank you so much for following along. I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye for now.